sometimes it's just been so natural to us, we don't realize that we're, maybe a strong way to say it is we're cursing our future. You can curse your future or you can bless your future. So be careful. I read about a lady that was complaining about everything that went wrong that day. She said, God, why did you let so many bad things happen? Because I am. Right. Now, mine is a different take on it. It is what follows the word I am, I believe you're inviting into your life.
I read about a lady that was complaining about everything that went wrong that day. She said, God, why did you let so many bad things happen to me? For decades, Joel Osteen has been known as the smiling pastor, a man with slick suits, carefully combed hair, and a message built around positivity. He rose to become one of the most famous televangelists on the planet, drawing weekly crowds of over 40,000 at Lakewood Church in Houston, while millions more tuned in from around the world. His best-selling books lined shelves in secular and Christian households alike, promising hope, gratitude, and abundance. For some, he was a beacon of encouragement. For others, he was the poster child of the prosperity gospel, a man who turned faith into a fortune. But even giants stumble, and now Osteen's empire faces a storm unlike any it has seen before. The announcement of his wife Victoria's tragic diagnosis sent shockwaves through his congregation and far beyond. For nearly 4 decades, she has been his partner in ministry, the co-pastor by his side, the calm but confident presence who shared the pulpit and built a women's ministry of her own. Their marriage had become part of the Lakewood story, a symbol of partnership and family values. That image is now fractured by painful reality. For many followers, this devastating family news marks a turning point. After years of controversies, financial scandals, accusations of neglect during disasters, and questions about the theology he preaches, Joel Osteen now finds himself at a crossroads. His once unshakable smile is shadowed by the weight of grief, and his words about hope ring differently when spoken against the backdrop of personal loss. The story of Joel Osteen is one of contrasts. A quiet, camera shy young man who built one of the most powerful religious media machines in history. A pastor who insists he takes no salary from the church, yet lives in a sprawling mansion worth tens of millions. A leader adored by millions, but distrusted by many within the Christian world. Now, as he faces the possible end of his ministry, those contrasts have never been more visible. This is the story of how Joel Osteen rose from the son of a small church pastor to become the face of American mega-church culture. How storms of scandal and tragedy battered his empire, and why the heartbreaking news about Victoria Osteen may finally be the moment that forces him to say goodbye. Joel Scott. Osteen was born on March 5, 1963 in Houston, Texas. He was one of 6 children raised in a household built on faith and ambition. His father, John Osteen, had once been a Southern Baptist minister, but in 1959, he broke away from traditional structures to start something new. He and Joel's mother, Dolores Dodie Osteen, opened a tiny church inside an old feed store on Houston's northeast side. It seated just 234 people and was called Lakewood Baptist Church. Soon, the Baptist was dropped, and Lakewood became a hub for faith healing and miracles. By the end of the 1970s, the congregation had grown to over 5,000. From a young age, Joel saw ministry in motion. His father was the preacher, his mother the steady partner at his side. When Joel's sister Lisa was born with severe disabilities, the family leaned even harder into the belief in healing, shaping the theology that would define Lakewood for decades. Each of the Osteen children took a different path. Paul became a surgeon and missionary. Lisa later joined Lakewood as an associate pastor, but Joel was different. He was quiet, reserved, and uninterested in preaching. After graduating from Humble High School in 1981, Joel enrolled at Oral Roberts University in Oklahoma to study radio and television communications. But within a year, he dropped out. It wasn't lack of ambition. It was clarity. He already knew where he belonged, behind the camera. Returning to Houston, he launched Lakewood's television ministry in 1982. Armed with a vision for production quality rarely seen in churches at the time, Joel took on filming, editing, and polishing his father's sermons for broadcast. He meticulously tracked every detail from stage lighting to what John Osteen wore. For the next 17 years, Joel never stood on stage. but he quietly built the foundation for what would later become one of the most powerful media arms in American religion. In January 1999, John urged his son yet again to preach. Joel had always said no, insisting his father was the preacher, not him. But that month he reluctantly agreed. On January 17th, Joel delivered his very first sermon. Just 6 days later, tragedy struck. Joel Osteen died suddenly of a heart attack. The congregation was shaken. With over 6,000 members and no clear successor, Lakewood faced uncertainty. Despite his lack of formal theological training, the spotlight fell on Joel. In June 1999, Joel Osteen was installed as Lakewood's senior pastor. What began as a reluctant step into the pulpit soon became something larger than anyone expected. Within 5 years, weekly attendance tripled. His shy demeanor transformed into a warm, approachable style that resonated with audiences. The once quiet media producer had stepped into the pulpit and begun building an empire. Joel Osteen's leadership marked a new chapter for Lakewood Church, one defined not by tradition, but by spectacle and scale. The small sanctuary that once held thousands could no longer contain the crowds pouring in. By the early 2000s, attendance had soared past 25,000 every week. Osteen's message of positivity and abundance, simple, uplifting, and easy to digest, was spreading like wildfire. It was less fire and brimstone and more motivational seminar, a style that set him apart from his father and most other pastors. In 2003, Lakewood took its boldest step yet. The church signed a 30-year lease for Houston's Compact Center, the former home of the NBA's Houston Rockets. The cost of the lease was $12 million, but the transformation required far more. Between $90 and $95 million were poured into renovations, turning the sports arena into a sprawling house of worship. The project added classrooms, media facilities, and even indoor waterfalls. When the doors opened in July 2005, every one of the 16,000 seats was filled. Millions more watched from their homes. What once echoed with championship basketball now resonated with music, sermons, and prayers. Attendance surged past 40,000 weekly. The television ministry expanded to reach 10 million viewers across more than 100 countries. The Osteen brand had gone global. Joel himself became a household name, appearing not only on Christian networks, but also on mainstream platforms like Larry King Live, Good Morning America, and Oprah's talk show. His 2004 book, Your Best Life Now, became a publishing phenomenon, selling over 4 million copies worldwide and remaining on the New York Times bestseller list for nearly 4 years. The financial rewards matched the scale of his influence. Joel stopped taking a salary from Lakewood in 2005, but he hardly needed it. His 15-plus books generated millions in royalties, with one alone, Become a Better You, bringing in over $13 million. His speaking engagements packed stadiums, often generating between $100,000 and $200,000 per appearance. By the mid-2010s, Joel and Victoria Osteen's personal fortune was estimated at $100 million. Their mansion in Houston, purchased for over $10 million, became a symbol of both success and controversy. Victoria Osteen's role expanded alongside her husband's. She founded the Lakewood Women's Ministry in 2003 and later became co-pastor. Her 2008 book, Love Your Life, debuted at number 2 on the bestseller list, cementing her place as a voice of influence in the movement. Together, Joel and Victoria crafted a brand that was equal parts faith and lifestyle, presenting Christianity as a pathway to personal success and abundance. By the end of the 2000s, Lakewood Church was no longer just a congregation. It was an empire, but with great scale came great scrutiny. And as the empire grew, so too did the questions about what it truly stood for. At the heart of Joel Osteen's message lies a simple but controversial idea. God wants you to prosper. His sermons rarely dwell on sin, sacrifice, or suffering. Instead, he talks about gratitude, self-worth, and speaking positivity into existence. He tells audiences that their words have power, that their faith can shape their future, and that God desires abundance for every believer. This is the essence of the prosperity gospel, a theological approach that has fueled Lakewood's growth while sparking fierce debate in Christian circles. For millions of followers, Osteen's message is a breath of fresh air. In a world weighed down by economic struggles and personal crisis, his words offer encouragement. He doesn't shout or condemn. He smiles. He reminds people that they are children of the Most High and deserve good things. His books and broadcasts turn faith into motivation, more akin to a life coach than a preacher of fire and brimstone. That accessibility has drawn audiences far beyond traditional churchgoers. But critics see something more troubling. Theologians describe Osteen's teaching as cotton candy gospel, sweet and appealing, but lacking nourishment. They argue that by avoiding difficult subjects like sin, repentance, and the reality of suffering, Osteen presents a shallow version of Christianity. To them, his message risks turning faith into a self-help formula, one where poverty or sickness are framed as personal failures of belief rather than realities of life. Lakewood's practices have also drawn scrutiny. Communion and baptism, core traditions of Christianity, have at times seemed secondary within the church. Though Lakewood affirms both, some members have claimed they are not central to weekly services, further fueling accusations that Osteen prioritizes spectacle over sacrament. In 2025, however, Osteen baptized hundreds during a major event, an attempt to address critics and reaffirm the church's alignment with historic practices. Still, the most enduring controversy remains money. With a net worth estimated between $50 and $100 million, Osteen embodies the very abundance he preaches. To supporters, his wealth proves that his principles work. To detractors, it exposes the dangers of prosperity theology, the blurring of spiritual guidance with personal enrichment. As one theologian put it, Osteen uses the Bible like a fortune cookie, pulling out uplifting lines while ignoring the rest. And yet, people keep coming. Every week, tens of thousands fill Lakewood seats while millions more watch online. For them, Osteen's message is not heresy, it's hope. The debate around his theology remains one of the most defining aspects of his career, framing him as either a modern messenger of encouragement or a salesman of a watered-down faith. No empire grows without storms, and Joel Osteen's ministry has faced more than its share. Over the years, scandals and crises have shaken Lakewood Church, exposing cracks in the foundation of its glossy image. The most infamous moment came in August 2017 when Hurricane Harvey devastated Houston. Tens of thousands were displaced and shelters overflowed. All eyes turned to Lakewood Church, the massive former sports arena capable of housing thousands. But the doors stayed shut. A post on social media claimed the church was flooded and inaccessible. Yet images soon circulated showing dry streets and an apparently intact building. The backlash was swift. The hashtag #OpenLakewoodChurch trended nationwide as critics accused Osteen of turning his back on the city. Local businesses, including Mattress Max Gallery Furniture, opened their doors immediately, only intensifying the comparisons. Lakewood eventually opened as a shelter, but the delay left a lasting stain on Osteen's reputation.